Welcome back to Jennifer Broussard Art. Today we're going to paint this big moon with Santa and his reindeer flying across. I thought it would be really fun to use metallics to make the moon. So I have my Kaleidro set of metallic colors. I have my New York Central 8x8 100% cotton watercolor block in 140 pound. I'm going to use two silver black velvet brushes in 4 and 8. And I'm going to use a dark color from my Daniel Smith palette. This is going to be really fun. Let's get started. I have the design all traced onto the paper with pencil, and then I went over the sled and the reindeer with black pens so that I don't lose them in the field of metallic watercolors. Now I can feel free to paint over them and not have to go around any angles or anything. So I'm going to use my bigger brush, my number 8, and fill in the moon. And you know, it's totally okay to go outside the circle. We're going to be doing a black sky against the moon, so no need to stay in the lines. The waterproof pen I used is a LePen drawing pen, and I used 0.5. It's been drying for about 5 minutes, and it's not bleeding into the water at all. I'm going to start with this color. This is called Silver Pearl, and I'm going to put it over here. Can't really tell yet. I'm hoping that this shows up really well against the dark color that we're going to put on. I'm going to put it all up at the top where I see the brightest parts of the moon. There is a big gray crater right here, and then some other darker gray spots. So I'm just going to put this color all around. You know, I'm not sure how it's going to act with a darker color over it. So I'm not going to go as crazy as I did when I was doing the water going outside the circle. And the thing that really drew me to this drawing was the simplicity of it. I can make this moon however I want, nice and loose, wet and wet. It just seemed really fun. Now I'm going to get some of this color. It's called Blue Pearl, and I'm going to add it kind of where I see those grays. I just grabbed that one by mistake, and just kind of plop it in. There's the one underneath this deer. There's a big gray splotch right here. It's very pale still. I'm just going to try and build up from light to dark. This might also be fun to do in reverse. You could do the dark and then put the metallics on top of that. That actually might be a really good way to go. Now I'm going to grab this blue silver, and I'm going to put it where I see some gray. These big gray craters or flatlands or something. A little bit out there. Touching that. And then like that. One down here. There's a little bit down here. And then when you look over here, look in your reference photo, you're going to see some warm color. It's very faint, but it is there. So I'm going to add, I don't know if, yeah, this one. This one is bronze. I'm going to make it watery and add a little bronze in some of these spots. I think I need to add a little more gray right here. There's a big round gray spot. But these aren't generally going to dry lighter than they are because they're metallic, they're opaque. So I'm going to kind of spread them out so that they aren't quite so dark. A little gray there by that reindeer, a little bit there. Okay, and now where I see really bright spots, I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to put it over my finger. I see a really bright spot right here. I'm just going to dab it out like that. There's a round circle right here filled with gray with white on the outline. I'm going to take it out there. Another one there. There's one right here. Might have to turn the paper towel around. I'm going to fix that shape like that. Okay. Then there's just, every once in a while, there's some white. Okay, this is a white one with some I've got this into a twisted little point, and I'm doing this like a sun. Isn't that fun? A little bit of one there. I'm going to move that gray around like that. It's starting to dry a little bit. And now around that white area, I'm going to put a little bit more dark paint so that it shows up better. You know, I put one here, but I think it filled in. Okay, it doesn't have to be, you know, really precise. I just want it to look like it has craters, and that it's the moon. And I think that looks like the moon. Now I'm going to switch over to the regular watercolor palette and get some of this. This was on here already. Alizaron crimson, I think that's pretty perfect. Put a little bit here. And a little bit, I might be seeing things, but I just sense a little bit of color in this moon. I'm going to get a little indigo, and I'm going to add it here and here. Big circle here. Big patch here, going into that one, and then another patch here. And then there's a patch here with circles. There's a patch up there. And then this patch continues down like that. I like how it's mixing with the metallics too. That looks pretty. Okay, I'm going to dry this. I was kind of playing around, and I want to use this dry brush to do this. I'm going to drop a little water right here and clean that off. I want there to be just a little more. Okay, damp brush, and I'm going to take some of that off. I started to dry it and I thought, I want to see what happens if you put salt on metallic paint. Now I know I did put regular watercolor over that, but it's still there. I'm gonna put just the littlest little bit of granules. I put a little bit there and there, and a little bit there, and then some down here. Okay, now we have to let it dry naturally. It's totally dry, and I did get some salt effects in the metallic paint right here and here and here, and I think a little bit right here. It's just too pale to be able to tell. I just want to do a little bit of detail work. I want to get some gray and I want to put it in the middle of this. And I want to put some here. And I want to soften that. This totally isn't necessary. I don't really know why I'm doing it. But I do want to I want to soften this a little bit. This just looks like a hole. And I want to put like a little bit of something inside it. And I want to soften the outside of it. Okay, now there's sort of a crater there, but it's not being obvious. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do to that. Now it's time to do the outside, and I got out a bigger brush. I got out this mop. I don't remember the brand. Any soft, biggish, soft brush will do. I also have some leftover paint on this little dish that I want to use up. It's from when I did the ghosts, the negative painting ghosts. So there's some hematite genuine. I think it's blue apatite genuine, and I think it's Payne's gray, but I don't quite remember. I'm going to try to incorporate it to the outside of the moon. I also have mixed up some indigo along with some indanthrone blue. And I'm just going to have to grab it when I need it. So I'm going to wet this in sections. I'm going to wet the top to about halfway. About halfway down, and I'm going to grab this indanthrone blue mixture with indigo. I'm going to rinse out a little and get some of this, whatever this is, and incorporate that into here. It's pretty granulating, so I want it to give the sky a little texture. Okay, I'm not going to go beyond the water. I'm going to wet that again. Get some of this apatite, this hematite stuff. I love this. Okay, now I rinsed out my brush. I'm going to get all the paint out. And I'm going to finish wetting the paper all the way down. Don't you love watercolor? Okay, get some of this. I think this is Payne's gray. Some of this. Some of the blue. I want there to be a lot of contrast, so I'm going to use a lot of pigment on this. I'm hoping to do it in one layer, but that might not happen. Hematite genuine. Blue apatite genuine. I like to mix them all up and just let them play together on the paper. Let's get this. I went a little wonky right there. The bigger brush you use, the more ground you're going to cover in one swipe. Okay, now I'm just going to fill in with the mixture of indanthrone blue and indigo, and I'm going to get it right up next to this shape. More indigo. Indigo is very deceiving. It feels like it is so dark, and then it dries and you go, oh, I have to do another layer. Thought you had it. I just love that right there. That's so pretty. As she goes right over it, get some more. I'm going to try to leave that alone. I'm going to try. Let's get a little more over here. It's looking a little outliney. It's totally dry, and you can probably tell that I used a little more pigment in some spots and less in others. It's a little more evenly dried in these areas because it was still pretty wet and I didn't go in with anything extra. So I'm going to give it another layer of water, and I'm going to try to even it out. I got out a little bit more hematite genuine in case I wanted to add it in because it's probably going to get all covered up. So I'm going to wet this. And see how just wetting it has spread that out? Because indigo is not a staining pigment. It's easy to pick up off the paper. Although I have noticed when I want to lift pigment from this paper, it won't let me. I'm also going to try and straighten out this line. All right, more indigo. Okay. Nice and wet. I don't think I can get that straightened. I'm going to have to take that off with an eradicator brush or something, or just a stiff flat brush. I like how this second layer is going on nice and wet, and it looks like there are some clouds in the background. Okay, more water. I will add the hematite genuine at the end. Probably what I should have done in the first place. Okay, I'm going to try and go nice and straight. Need some more pigment. Sometimes it won't release off the brush until you pick the brush up. So if I go like this along this side, I'm just scooching it away. And then when I pick it up, it blooms. So you've got to pick it up along the way and make sure it settles where you want it to be. Okay, more water. And I'm going to come over here because I think it's starting to dry. No, it's not. It's nice and wet. Okay, get some more indigo. just that loop right there, that crooked part. I love these mop brushes. You can get a mop brush of any brand. I think these are squirrel. I don't think they're synthetic. Not sure. I'm gonna move this so that that doesn't puddle. And then finish down here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Get all of that out. And now I'm going to get some of the hematite genuine. You don't need it. I'm just trying to be fancy. I actually don't like it anymore. I don't want to put it on there. It's kind of hard and I don't love the color for this. I like that dark blue, so I'm just going to leave it like that and let it dry again. If you end up with too much water on your paper and it's making puddles, like mine is, you can tilt it one way down like to the corner. See if I can do this. See how it's all gathering right there? And just soak it up with a paper towel. You're just getting the excess of water out. You can see how that color shifted again. It's still dark, but it's not as dark as the reference photo. So I'm gonna do the silhouette, the Santa and the deer, with some pretty pigmented indigo, and I'm gonna see how it looks. And if I feel like this needs to be a little darker, we'll do one more coat. So I'm gonna use my number 2 silver white. It's probably my favorite brush. And while I do this, I'm just gonna speed it up because I'm just filling in the shapes. I'm just tracing and filling in. You can do this with marker, you can do it with ink, you can do it with paint. I'm gonna do it with paint because that's just what I have out now. So I'm gonna stop talking and start painting and speed this up. I just love this. I think this is the cutest thing. I am going to go ahead and do one more coat of indigo, and I'm going to do it on dry paper. So with my squirrel brush, my mop, I'm going to get a lot of indigo out so that I don't have to go dipping into it when things are drying and it's going to dry streaked. I'm going to add a little water to it. This brush holds a lot of water and pigment without it dripping. Okay, here we go. Yes, that's going to work out really well. Did you notice that that a little drop splashed? I just don't worry about that. I just think it adds to the painting. But I am going to probably try to get it off if I get it before it dries. If that happens and you're trying to be timely with a wash, don't worry about it. Go nice and slow right up next to the edge. And this is a chance also to get your edges clean. Another one just dripped. Oh well. It's like it bounces off. Okay, I'm going to get more indigo. And I'm going to come up here before this dries. This has been sitting here longer than that, but this looks like it's drying. So I'm going to come back down here. More pigment. Now I just had a chance to straighten that out, and that worked out really well. Okay, one last. You're always going to be able to get a dark value faster if you do it on dry paper. We are all done. I think this is so pretty. I loved using the metallics on the moon. See how shiny it is? And I'm really glad I did that third layer of indigo. You can't see a little bit of light underneath the layers, but it's nice and dark and contrasts well with the moon. You could add ho ho ho, you could add happy holidays or Merry Christmas or any Christmas quote you can think of and make this into a really cute card. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.